Colleagues, welcome to Strategy Sunday. I hope you've had an amazing week. Today I just want to talk a little bit about resilience and the whole idea of keeping our children resilient through the learning process. Many of us would have heard this word before. The Americans call it good old grit and keeping on to a task. And it's just about thinking it. I just wanted to think today about how we keep our children with extra needs, especially autism, resilient and focused in on the learning. Over the years, the idea of motivation and focus has been one of the things that I've really looked at to be able to support that for children. I've had a mixed response working with a child's special interest, because sometimes you've just basically got a child who's so absorbed in their special interest, learning truly is not the motivation at that moment, and then other children can kind of see how they can get absorbed in that learning by using their special interest. So that's one of the ways that I think you can build up resilience. Going back to one of my early weeks as well around the visual timetable, using special interests within the visual timetable is also a way to build up resilience. However, one of the other ways we can really build up resilience is focused, time managed approach. And that's really just around being clear and smart about what you want a child to do and when and how long they've got to do it. So things like a task board, using that really effectively so that you can pinpoint how long a child has on each part of a task will actually help to build up their resilience to something they're not really motivated by. So think about task boards, and if you haven't seen a task board before, please message me and we'll talk about it and I can send you an example. But thinking about how you get a child to be motivated enough to become resilient. One thing I've always said to parents who worry about what their children are going to become and what they're going to do is that if that young person truly finds their special interest or finds their special skill, they will be so amazing at it, because they are actually one of the most resilient group, especially if they're autistic, because they focus in on small detail, they focus in on the things that are interesting to them. So if you can find a way to tap into that in your classroom, tap into that for the individual child, you will actually find that there's a higher level of resilience in that young person than you initially thought. So my thought today is resilience. How do you build that up in the individual in your class? Today's strategy is not as clear because it will take very different things for very different children, but it's about how you motivate. Think timed, think special interest, think structure, think task boards to get that young person engaged in the learning enough to find out what truly motivates them. So my Strategy Sunday this week is quick, short, punchy, which I like, and I'm sure you do too. And I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you. Bye-bye.